Thank you, President. Now, I stand today to talk about something that I'd prefer not to have to stand and talk about. I'd rather be talking about great things that are happening out in the community or sort of speaking on behalf of people out in the community about things that are important to them. But I wanted to bring to the House tonight the unfair treatment of some crossbenchers, and that's in regards to the staffing allocation of what's happened since we all came here. Now, at the start, we all come in here sort of believing in democracy and accountability and fairness, and you know, all the crossbenchers are given the 2 members that we get, whereas legalised cannabis and the Greens were given extra allocation of 0.5 FTEs. Now, I've got no problem. I'm not having a go at the other parties. That's great. I'm happy that they've got that. I understand all the work they do, as do I. I think it's really good that they've got extra resources and probably should have more. Maybe the amount of work I see, the members doing. So I want to make it clear this isn't having a go at these other parties. This is having a go as a matter of principle in democracy and in fairness. Now, I mean, it is just not right for what has happened to be giving extra resourcing to some members like this and then not to the other crossbench members. We wrote to the Premier as a group, members of the crossbench here, wrote, explaining that we too have a lot of work to do in here and want to do a really good job for the people of WA. And I think that was back in early July. So not long after we were elected, and we've heard in the House before about how, these other members had got in before us and they'd asked for the stuff and we were waiting for the Morton review. So, I mean, there's been, different reasons given, as to why that has happened. And then there was things spoken about. I mean, we haven't even had a decency of a response from the Premier from July. Didn't even bother responding to the letter we wrote to him about it. That's the sort of respect that we get. A Premier that you send a letter to, talking about that. I think that's...
You're being disingenuous because I understand his team have reached out to you. Talk to you about this.
I'm going on to that, so
right.
I'm going to speak to that, honourable member. Well, yeah, no, I am going to speak to that because
Order.
The truth is the Premier has not... Sorry, President.
Just conduct the business of the House in the usual way through the Chair. The Honourable Rod Caddies.
Through you, President. Yes, so as I was saying, we haven't had a letter of response from the Premier. I was going to go on to say that we have had communications from members in this House and other staffers and stuff outside of this House. So there has been verbal communications going on in regards to that over a long period of time now. There has been, we went to, we were told that, wait till the Morton review was back. That was sort of, they wanted to see what was going on there before anything more happened there. We waited till then, and then we went to the Morton review. We went and sat there with, members of the government, their advisors and Ben Morton. And while we were there, we got explained about, and it looked all good. The review had, a report back, and we were told that the government was pretty much in favour of the Morton review. In principle, they were in favour of all what had came back. And what we were told there was that if we were to send an email to the government saying that we were in favour of the full review, of the Morton review, that would speed the process up of us probably getting our 0.5. That would help us to make that happen quicker. Well, some members of the crossbench did do that. I didn't. I didn't feel it appropriate to be encouraged to write an email saying that we support this whole review, because I may have supported the review as a whole, but as a fairness and equality thing, when other crossbenchers and, you know, the Greens and the legalised cannabis had already just been given that, I didn't feel that appropriate to be basically told that, you know, send this email, we encourage you to do that because then we can look at giving you this FTE, this extra half FTE. Now, I mean, this review came out of a CCC finding. It was, you know, to do with electorate staff. So to be then sort of told that, you know, if you send this email, your chances of getting this extra staffing would be more likely to happen, and more likely to happen much quicker. So as the honourable member was saying earlier, we did have some communications, and we had been communicated with saying that basically it was going to happen, and it kept sort of getting moved along, kicked down the road, including to a point where the Honourable Marika Grunwald had a motion in Parliament here to speak about it and to, you know, to challenge the unfairness and what she felt was wrong, as did other crossbench members. In these verbal communications, as was pointed out earlier, we had communications. The honourable member that I just spoke about and others were under the impression, were insinuated that we were getting it. So she was sort of, in goodwill, took that motion back out so that it wouldn't be debated, because we were told, you know, this was going to happen. And then it's just gone on and on and on, and then to a point where we thought it was going to happen in January, and then now it's March, and now we're told, oh, it's a budgetary thing, and at the end of the month they might, you know, they're looking at it at the end of the month, so we'll be looking at it then and speaking more about then. We're now 10 months into this term. So I don't think that's an appropriate one. Like I said, we didn't get the response in a to our letter, but we've had different verbal communications, which is sort of like basically kept telling us we're going to get it, and then it never comes about. So that's why I'm standing up today, because it hasn't. And now we're saying the end of the month they might look at it because it's a budget thing. Well, who knows? That's what keeps happening. And I'll move on with that. I mean, it's okay for the Premier. He's got his 33 staff or whatever it is. So it's all fine for him, I'm sure. Yeah, well, we probably... Oh, and then we'll... Yeah, so we can just appoint whatever we like. So anyway, that's not the only thing, and I've got a few minutes left. The other thing is my office, a political office now where you know, what are we, like I said, 10 months in, and I'll give you a bit of an idea. You know, back from May, my staff had to work from home, which is, you know, we all had to do. There's all different things. But I could give you a timeline here, and I'm not going to actually go step by step for all these dates, because that isn't the government's responsibility directly. This is people in departments. But right throughout, you know, I even presented officers, and they said, yep, they look fine, they meet all the standards. And that was back in June. Nothing happened. Things kept getting kicked down the road again. Same thing like this staffing. And it wasn't until late November before my staff even were able to walk into the office, and there was no furniture again then for another month, no internet. And so it wasn't until one of my staff sent an email to the President in regards to their mental health, having to work from home, family issues, all different things. He's given me permission to say this. So I presume I'm allowed to say that. I've been given permission by him, saying he was upset about that. And it wasn't till then that anything was done. You know, and even now our office isn't ready. Now the guys had to have their camp chairs and everything in there. They moved out, and then work's being done on it, and even that is now being pushed on. So it'll be about a year before a Member of Parliament has a political office where his constituents can come and, you know, speak to him. I mean, I don't think that's appropriate, a whole year out of a 4-year term before you have an operational office. So, yeah, so that is why I stood up today, because a combination of both what's happened with the office and the staffing stuff of not getting any sort of firm commitments or things happen. It's always kicked down the road, and I think that's unfair. Different if there was firm commitments and saying on this date, okay, you're not getting maybe the staff till this date, or you're not getting it at all, but not to just being kept wondering, working out how you operate, same as with the office. Like I said, I wasn't going to go through it because I've got it all here in detail on the emails that I continually kept sending, that even to a point where they were blaming the real estate, saying they were holding it up. But the real estate said, well, hold on a second, they didn't even ring us. The real estate rang me asking me, am I still interested in that office, because they hadn't heard back from the government. Yeah, they said they wanted it signed up because that's when they start getting their money. But then I'm getting told in emails that the real estate's holding it up. So that's why I'm frustrated and why I've stood up today to talk about this, because of all these things that have happened in both the staffing and the office. So thank you, and yeah, that's all I've got to say.